Hello everyone, welcome back. Today I'm going to talk to you guys about protecting yourselves from red flag laws. Um, the overall theme of everything that we're going to discuss here is that no woman or man is worth losing your gun rights over. Okay, so that's the overall theme. And if you're in a relationship that's not going well, that's the thing that you have to stay focused on. Use that to discipline yourself. Okay, they just passed some red flag laws through Congress. Biden signed it. What did that do? Well, if you're in a state that already has red flag laws in place, they get extra money. If you're in a state that doesn't have red flag laws, well, they get an equal amount of money. Okay, that's all it did. Didn't do anything else. Initially, the idea was that they were going to try and incentivize states that don't have the red flag laws to pass them, right? To start creating red flag laws. The Republicans were not going for that. But they said, hey, you know what? We'll take the money though. So basically, all states get more money regardless of whether they have red flag laws or not. All this is a money grab. Okay, so they're gonna print up more money and give it to all the states equally, or on some equal basis. I don't know what but all states are gonna get more money, regardless of whether they have red flag laws or don't have red flag laws. So all this really is a tax, because anytime the government's printing up money to spend, okay, they're diluting the money that you have saved. And what they're doing is they're reducing the buying power of your money, so they're in fact taxing you. So that's all they've done with this red flag legislation. Now, one of the things that they did also do that is a little bit more important is they expanded the definition of, or they expanded the requirements of who needs to, what gun sellers need to get an FFL. Okay, so basically, if you're selling guns for a profit, okay, they're now saying that you're in the business of selling guns, and you can't do that unless you're an FFL. Okay, that's the basic gist of it. There's probably some more details there, but if you're selling guns for a profit, you need to be federally licensed to sell guns. Now, the key definition, the key word there is profit. The only part of this gun here that's actually a gun is the lower receiver. Okay, so that's the only part that I need to worry about, that I can't sell and make a profit on. So if I take this whole thing apart, I can't sell the receiver for a profit. I can sell everything else for a profit, but that's just an accessory. Same thing goes with a pistol. The frame, or the part with the serial number, that's the gun. You can't sell that for a profit, but you can strip everything off of it and sell that for a profit, and then presumably the person can do whatever they want with those parts, including put it all back together. Okay, we're going to talk about that more in the future video, but that's how I read that. Okay, so let's talk about the red flag laws. Okay, so 3 rules to protect yourself from getting red flag. Don't show guns, don't talk about guns, hide guns. Okay, and I realize the irony of a gun tuber telling you not to talk and show guns when all I seem to do is talk about guns all day and show you guys guns. Okay, so let's talk about that. Here's the thing: if I have 1,000 guns, okay, it is really easy for me to hide 100 guns. Okay, if you've only got 5 guns, at best maybe you can hide 1 gun, and that can still be difficult, right? Which is not so different. Like if you look at all these trees over here, okay, if I don't know, there's whatever, a couple 100 trees there. If I pull out one of the trees, you're not going to notice it. However, if there was only 5 trees there and I took out one of the trees, you would probably notice it. So bottom line is, if you have lots of guns, it's a lot easier to hide a few guns than if you only have a few guns and you're trying to hide, let's say, 1 gun. Okay, so let's talk about don't show guns, don't talk guns. What are we talking about here? Well, basically, if you just started dating somebody or you just got a new job, okay, don't talk to these people about guns. Don't show them your guns. You don't know anything about them. and even in a situation where you've been dating somebody for a long time or even married a long time, don't show them all your guns. Okay, leave leave something in hiding. Now, if you live in a studio apartment, it can be a little difficult to hide your guns. What I would probably do is cut a hole in the sheetrock, probably way up high over there, um, and put some guns in there, and then sheetrock it over, spackle it, paint it, and I would probably do that. Like, let's say if I had two Glock 17s or two AR-15s, that are kind of both the same, very generic. Those are the guns I would put in the wall, and I would I would also probably put some like 2x4. So if somebody puts a little camera in there, they can't see what's behind the wall as easily. So if you live in an apartment, that's what I would recommend. Hide some of your guns. Now, if you live in a larger house, obviously now you have more options for hiding things. You can hide things, under the basement, up in the ceiling, in the rafters. If you've got land outside, you can hide stuff on your property. I mean, obviously, I got equipment here. I mean, I could dig a big hole over there where I could hide an entire tank if I wanted to. Okay, so you have to factor. You have to come up with a self-defense plan against red flag laws in advance, not like when the police are being called to your house, because there's a disturbance. Um, and whoever you're living with, they shouldn't know about all your guns, and you should definitely have some of your guns hidden. Okay, so that's what it comes down to, right? You got to have a plan in place, and the chances are, if you have a plan in place, you are the type of person that is thinking ahead and careful not to get yourself in trouble. So this is really about developing a whole lifestyle of living. It's like carrying a gun, right? If I carry a gun around with me every day, I have to be aware of what I'm, what kind of belt do I have on? Does it support the gun? Where can I go? Where can't I go? Like, I know I can't go into a federal building or a post office. So, basically, these are all things that I consider with regards to the gun. Well, all we're doing here is just going a step further, right? We're going a step further. We're not just protecting ourselves from people that we don't know. What we're talking about here is protecting ourselves from people that we do know. Okay, that's all this is. So, moving on, to protect yourself from getting a red flag, don't date crazy. Okay, and I realize that crazy women can sometimes be very exciting. They are the opposite of boring. Okay, I completely understand that. I was once a very young man myself, and I can totally understand that. So here's the thing: when I was in my 20s, I'm now 50. When I was in my 20s, 3 to 4 times a year, I would get on an airplane and I would fly to the Caribbean, South America, Mediterranean, and Europe, and I would have myself a blast. Okay, all the crazy women in the world I met. Okay, but when I came back home, they stayed over there. Okay, so that's got to be part of your planning. I can understand that you might enjoy crazy, but make sure that you can set boundaries. All right, that crazy can't cross over into. Okay, so that's got to be part of your self-defense plan against getting red flags. Okay, so this is a self-defense plan. This is no different than deciding what gun you're going to carry, how often you're going to train, what ammunition you're going to use. This is just an extension of your self-defense plan. So don't bring crazy into your life or close. Don't bring crazy into your life. That's gonna cause you problems. Okay. Now, let's say you just start dating somebody, right? Don't move in with somebody until you've already had a couple of fights with them. You gotta see how you resolve your fights. Okay. Don't marry somebody until you've had a chance to have lots of fights with them. Okay. Really important thing for you guys to know, for those of you that don't know this already, but women change. Okay, first of all, they change every time they get their period, right? That makes them crazy enough. But then as they get older, especially after they have maybe a couple of kids, they get a lot even crazier. Okay, so you have to factor that in. You gotta know who you got, what level of crazy are they starting off from, and then from there kind of project where they will be in the future, right? So this is something that you have to factor in. A lot of guys, they get involved with women thinking that they're not going to change. Okay, women change; they always change. Okay, likewise, women will get involved with men thinking that the men will change. The opposite. Men don't change. Men stay the way they are. Okay, so you've got two completely different expectations there. Okay, you've got to factor this into, your self-defense plan against getting red flagged. Okay, now let's say you're in a relationship, things start going sour, um, fights, you start having arguments, whatever. You gotta set your boundaries, right? First of all, always keep at the top of your mind, and not in the back of your head, at the top of your mind, that no woman is worth losing your gun rights for. No woman is worth losing your guns for. And I don't care how much you got invested in this relationship. Maybe you got kids, maybe you got houses, properties, a business together. Um, you're not going to save any of that by losing your gun rights. Okay, so the relationship is going to go the way it's going to go. Okay, it may not be salvageable. So it's not worth, if you're going to lose everything that you had, you're going to lose your house, you're going to lose your car, you're going to lose your kids. Okay, if that's going to happen, it's going to happen. It's not worth also losing your gun rights on top of that. Okay, so very important, right? Always keep that in your mind when you're dealing, when you're in a relationship and you're dealing with women and the relationship is starting to not go so well. Now, other important thing here is you've got to have an exit plan. Okay, you got to have two things. You got to have boundaries. You got to have an exit plan. And by what I mean by boundaries is, in any relationship, there's always going to be arguments that come up. You got to know how far you're willing to go in that argument. Okay, so you don't ever want to fight from an emotional position. You may want to project emotion, but you may not. But you never want to. So here's the thing: a lot of times, if I'm having a fight with somebody, I might act angry, right? But I'm really not angry. It's a calculated display, right? I might be putting out a display of being angry, all right? But I'm always in control of that. Okay, and I can always pull myself back from that because it's something. It's basically an act that I'm putting on. That's something that I developed way early on in my life. Okay, so yeah, now if I'm ever really angry, I don't. That's not the time to have a confrontation, right? So let's say, just an example. Let's say I was angry at my wife because she spent a lot of money, like she spent twice what she was going to spend or something. Okay, if I'm really that angry, I'm not going to go home. I'm going to sit here and wait here and shoot some guns, maybe, and have some fun or whatever, until I stop being angry. And then I will go home and I will address the issue. And maybe I will put on the act that I'm really upset, but that's an act and I'm in control. Now, the other person might say or do things that are going to try and pull you beyond the boundaries that you have set. But that's why you have to be of a clear head, in control, so that you don't let the other person pull you past those boundaries that you have set and start doing something like throwing stuff or trying to hit somebody and stuff like that. So you always got to have that control. Don't get yourself into a confrontation if you don't think with somebody that you live with, for example, especially if you don't think you're going to be able to have that control. Give yourself some time to cool off and go into when you do have that conversation, that confrontation, make sure that you're in control. You've already set your boundaries and you have an exit plan, so that if this person starts pulling you beyond those boundaries that you have set, you can get yourself out of there, and not end up in a situation where you end up getting arrested. Okay, so you always gotta maintain that level of control and have that exit plan. Now that exit plan also has to include, like, if you see that you're in a relationship and things start going bad, start getting your guns out of the house. Get yourself one of these storage places, get your guns out of the house. Start thinking about getting yourself out, because again, I don't care what you've got invested in this relationship. you're not going to accomplish anything by losing your gun rights. All you're going to do is you're going to lose everything that you've invested in the relationship, plus you're going to lose your guns and your gun rights, and you're just going to come out even deeper in the hole. Okay, so it's just not worth it. Now, if you get in a situation now where the police are called to your house because for whatever, um, they're called to the house because you're having a fight. Um, that's not the time to get your guns out of the house, right? If you're going to get your guns out of the house, you're going to do this either before or after. Don't be trying to run through the house with all your guns in the middle of a fight, because now it looks like you're getting the guns to basically shoot the other person. Okay, so you might be thinking that you're going to get your guns out of the house. Meanwhile, the other person thinking that you're getting the guns to kill them. Okay, so that's not the time to get the guns out of the house. Not during the fight, and you certainly don't want the cops showing up, seeing you sneaking out with all your guns. So get your guns out, preferably before, or as this thing, days before, as you see the relationship starting to go bad, or after. Now, as far as getting your guns out after, it really helps if you don't get yourself arrested. Okay, you can do a lot more things, and also, again, keeping a clear mind at the point that you decide that things are not going well. Um, you know, Basically back off, get yourself out of the house, so that you have the ability to enter back into this house a few days later, all right, without having, let's say, a restraining order or something put on you, right, so that you can get your guns, okay? So so these are the things you gotta be planning, you gotta be planning, you gotta be thinking about these things. How are you gonna get yourself and your property out of the house? Now, if the police show up, you know, don't start the whole diarrhea of the mouth. Don't start talking to them about your relationship. All right, all you want to do at that point is especially if the police have been called to your house, you're not going to be sleeping in that house that evening. Okay, so accept that fact. Um, you know, figure out where you're going to go. Don't do anything to aggravate the situation so that you get arrested. Okay, obviously don't give consent to anything. Now the problem here with consent is you may not give consent, but the other person in the house might give consent. Okay, so again, another reason why hide some of your guns. Even if you're living happily with somebody, hide some of your guns, because if things go sour really fast, the other person can give consent, okay, to have your house searched, items removed by the police, etc. Okay, so keep that in mind. The other person can give consent. So again, this all comes back to the planning. You gotta think this stuff through in advance. That's why we're doing this video. Okay, and of course, if they're gonna arrest you, don't resist. That's not gonna accomplish anything. That's just gonna make the situation a lot worse for you. So get an attorney to deal with this problem. So a couple of things for you guys to think about. Luckily I've never been in this type of position. I never planned to be in this type of a problem. However, there's things in life that you can't control. And I'll give you guys an example. So as people get older, sometimes they go through medical conditions that cause their personalities to change. I have heard of a case, and I know all the people involved, where one person started to, over a period of a year, they had started to become very irritable, aggressive, short-tempered, and at some point they actually had what appeared to be a seizure. And what was found out is that this person had a tumor growing between their skull and their brain, which was putting pressure on their brain, basically irritating it, causing personality malfunctions. Okay, and it basically the tumor did end up coming out, and that person's doing really good. Return to their normal personality. But the point I'm bringing up here is, just because your situation now is such that you can never envision a situation where you could possibly be red flagged, keep in mind that there's other people around you going through lots of different things, different medical conditions that may cause something like this to come into your life. Like this tumor in the head type of situation. that I just mentioned. Okay, so that's why you got to have a backup plan. You know, hide some of your guns, and if things start going bad in the relationship, start forming exit plans. It might just be a temporary exit plan to, like, let me get my stuff out of here until we figure out what's going on and what we're gonna do, and what doctors you got to see, and etc. We got to see a psychiatrist or something. Um, but yeah, that's how you guys can protect yourself from red flag laws. Now, if you guys got any other ideas, put in the comment section. I don't pretend to know everything on this stuff. This is something that's there's a lot of loose ends out there. There's a lot of red flag laws can come at you from a lot of different directions, especially as they're expanding in some states the number of people that can red flag you. Okay, so that all comes back to don't show guns, don't talk about guns, don't hide guns. People, potentially hostile people that don't know about your guns can't red flag you. Okay, so I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Make sure you guys are following me on Odyssey, Uncensored channel. My channel name over there is Pocono Tactical. On Rumble, I'm Pocono Guns, and then on YouTube, my channels are Absolute Gun Rights, Pocono Shooting, and the original Safa channel that goes back to 2006. Talk to you all soon.